I'm joined with Manager Glenn Turnbull this evening to sort of have a look on how our season's gone so far. So we'll cast our minds back all the way to August, which was quite a tough month really in terms of our results. We had thrashings in particular by Met Police and Farnham. How do you think that went to start the season?
I'll challenge straight. I don't think we got thrashed by Met Police, but I think what happened to Met Police, where it was the first game, kind of summed up how the next couple of months would go really. We were in the game 80-85 minutes. It was pretty, they had chances, we had chances. We gifted them chances, they took them. We had chances which we created. They didn't give us chances. We created when we watched that game back, but we didn't take them. So that was there. Yeah, Farnham, I think we've probably had 2 beatings given to us. One was Farnham that day here, and one was Hartney the other week, to be fair, just after the first Guernsey game. But yeah, August was tough, and a bit like, I suppose, like John would have been down the road looking at the fixtures, almost looking where your first point's coming from, and it felt a little bit like that. But then, we were learning, we were progressing, and people were saying it was very similar to Horndean's start last year, but I actually think we probably have got to grips with it a little bit quicker than what they seemed to last year, only by a month or so, not massive. But yeah, August was tough, September wasn't much better.
Well, we did get our first points on the board in September, a draw at Rayners Lane. We also had further draws against Rayners Park Vale and Hanworth. What were your thoughts on those?
I think then we're starting to get into a period where, so I sat with the players the other week and last week and said, our points total as it is now is what it is, but depends on your viewpoint. If you want to be pessimistic or you want to be overly optimistic, we could have had through some games an additional anywhere between 4 or 10 points. As I say, depends on your viewpoint. And those games there, some of those games we should have won. There was a couple. We snuck a draw, Rayners Lane, I think. We scored, equalised again late to get a draw when arguably they would probably feel they should have beaten us. But then there was other games we were winning, Ascot, and I know we'll get to that in a minute, but Ascot we were winning with minutes to go and ended up losing 3-2. So there are points that you can add on, but I think that was the start. Then we started to get a bit of belief. We started to understand where if we could eradicate some of the mistakes and start to add to some of the things we already had as a foundation, we'd be okay.
We mentioned Ascot there. That was part of a very mixed October. We started it brilliantly with back-to-back wins, our first wins at this level in the Isthmian League against Leatherhead and Westfield at home. But we did also suffer defeats to Ascot, South Park, Reigate and Harrow. How do you find October?
Again, yeah, 2 games in there. You said 2 wins and 2 losses. But Harrow was a marker for me. They're a big club, Yeah. My dad's really enjoyed being around and come doing some of the stuff. You've spent some time with him, but their boardroom, he still talks about it was a traditional, proper football club. That's what we wanted to get to this level. So Harrow was a bit of a marker, and again, at the time they were flying in the league, and I thought we were as good as them. We lost, but again, the way they celebrated with a 90 whatever it was, 3rd, 4th, and someone in them winner. You could see what it meant to them, and again, from that little negative of losing, you could see that we were competing with the big boys. Leatherhead here was interesting, and set up the return game, which again we'll come to in a minute. And I think that was again an important one. They're a big club at this level. So to get 3 points off of those, again, albeit that maybe we rode our luck that day. So again, you can be a little bit optimistic, and maybe Ian will be saying that they should have beaten us that day, and so we were lucky to get 3 points, but we did. So yeah, that again was a marker.
Well, Leatherhead was actually the venue for our first away victory, which was in November. That was also followed with Prio Derby victories here in the Cup against Portsmouth and Baffin's Milton Rovers, as well as that afternoon in Guernsey, which was quite a way to finish off the month.
Yeah. I think Leatherhead away was a real crossroads moment. I talk quite a lot in my family life and different stuff about life being, a series of decisions when you get to crossroads. And Leatherhead away was that, because it was an ugly, scrappy win, but we were resolute that day. I thought we were to a man. We were fantastic that day. Smarty made his debut and pulled off some excellent saves. You can't go to a place like Leatherhead and not expect to have some minutes of pressure against you. But we dealt with it really, really well. We walked off and fair play. Some of their fans were, congratulating us and saying that we got what we deserved that day. So that was really important. The 2 cup wins were nice because they're local derbies. Gave me my first glimpse of Michael, so that was quite good. Well, probably second, but pre-season didn't count. And then the win against Baffins was excellent. That was the first one I was away for whilst I was in South Africa. And then, as I say, the Guernsey game, which is well documented now.
Yeah, now moving on to December and the start of January so far, we've been on an incredible winning run, excusing that defeat at Hartley Whitney. They've included wins against Sutton Common Rovers, Horndean, Met Police in the reverse fixture, Ashford Town Middlesex, Binfield, Uxbridge and Southall. I mean, it's been quite a run, hasn't it?
Again, I've said in my programme notes actually for the weekend, winning 7 games on the bounce at any level of football is no mean feat. If you say most teams in any league, whether it's the Premier League or whether it's Dog and Duck, Pompey, Pub League Division 4, most teams in there are going to be of the same standard. You might have a few that are chucking loads of money that are going to be the standouts. You might have a few which have got all left-footed players and not playing very well, but we haven't witnessed that here. So if you take away the big boys in this league, everyone's much of a muchness. And you look at the games against Bad Shot and the ones that people just generically looked at the table and thought, oh well, that's a shoe-in. They were far from it. They were tough games as well. So everybody at this level is good. So to win 7 games at this level at that time, I think is real testament to the group, really. You can hear my voice, and I wasn't here much over the last week or so through illness. Didn't make a jot of difference. The way the boys have galvanised, the way they've kicked on, the way they've gone out and ground out these results from senior players, young players. I'm not going to mention names and single out because actually it's all of them. But equally the staff, Neil, Harrison, Phil, all 3 physios, Jack who's helping here tonight, everybody has all been really, really key to those 21 points. And I think actually that's, if you add in then, take out the Hartley game, but add in the 3 points from Guernsey, those 24 points have been a real key part that now we can look forward for the remaining 16 games of the season with a little bit of enjoyment. I've talked about kind of places like Harrow and clubs, go to Kingstonian, although they're playing away, go to Hayes, fantastic setup off the pitch, go to Leatherhead, the club of that stature, and we've probably not enjoyed the whole experience because that's what we were part of getting promoted. You want to go out and enjoy the experience and trying yourself at these different levels, but we were so focused on having to get to a certain points target and making sure that we could almost be sure we'll be playing football at this level next year, that maybe we just haven't enjoyed it. So literally just said to the lads now, that's the target for the next 16 games. Enjoy yourselves, take some pride in what you've done because it's been phenomenal, but now go and enjoy what we're doing, and if we get a few more wins, brilliant. It will just galvanise what we've been doing, really.
Well, thanks very much for speaking to us and best of luck for the rest of the season.